Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today we're going to start taking a look at some of the warrior class figures from Cyberverse. And as we all know, Cyberverse is that new Transformers line. Cartoon will be debuting, I want to say sometime in September, if I heard correctly. I could be wrong, don't hold me to it. And we're starting off looking at probably, besides Shockwave, one of the most discussed warriors from this Wave 1, and that is Starscream. Now, a lot of reviewers, and some people who think they're reviewers, have discussed this figure and really have derided it, said it's, not high quality, have said that it's just not a good figure. And while I'm not going to say it's the best warrior class, deluxe class figure, I'm not going to say it's as terrible as it's being made out to be. And I think a lot of the problems other reviewers are having with this figure is they're maybe not following the directions in terms of the gimmick, or even really paying attention to the actual figure itself. First, let's get what would be the important stuff out of the way. From the waist down, there's only hip articulation. The legs can go in and out, and they're on a shared joint, so they have to ratchet together. That's the first thing. Also, I want to point out, and I'll have to move the arm out of the way here. As you can see, like Megatron, he does have that pelvis first, curved design to him, which again, I'm going to say borrows heavily from the Transformers animated cartoon, which basically means that the whole of Cyberverse, I think I can safely say now, is G1 with a little bit more of that, with a smoothed out, or more, I shouldn't say smoothed out, but a more angular animated aesthetic. The arms are on universal joints, so they can rotate at the shoulder and go out, and single jointed bend at the elbow. But you get a, I would say, a respectfully deep bend. Like the Robots in Disguise warrior class figure, you do have the null rays positioned on the forearm instead of the upper bicep right above the elbow. I don't have a problem with that. Now, the first thing I want to discuss before we get into the gimmick of the figure is how reviewers have been handling it. And I think it's been something that they've overall been missing. Let's turn the figure around. As you can see, the nose cone is positioned on the back at a slight angle. That angle is due to the fact that the landing gear cannot fold all the way in. Now, many reviewers have pointed out that if there was a tab was removed or the landing gear was shorter, it would be able to fold up underneath the cockpit, and the nose cone would be able to fold flush. They have pointed this out as a design flaw. I have discovered that this is actually an intentional bit of design work. Allow me to move the nose cone. As you can see, right there on the hip, on the back of the waist, right above the pelvis, is a gray tab. That tab does nothing in robot mode, does nothing in vehicle mode. Well, I kind of misspoke. It does do something in robot mode. It actually locks the waist in place, so you don't have a floppy robot turning around. And what I mean by that is, if we come around and look, see if I can straighten this out more, right there in the front wheel is a slot. If you bring the nose cone down and then position things just so, that tab will slot into the opening in the front wheel, locking the waist in place. That's not shown in the instructions, and a lot of the other reviewers have missed it. Now, we're going to unhook that to go into the gimmick. And now to do the gimmick, at least easily, I like to bring the arms down. Now, what will happen is, if you rotate it to the left, the figure is supposed to spring forward. Rotating it to the right, you do get that click, which basically helps bring it back to a neutral position. But if you overdo it, you kind of have to go all the way around. So we're going to go all the way, we're going to rotate it to the left, and we're going to see what happens. There we go. I'm holding the legs, and I'm going to let go. All right, basically it's a whirlwind blade slice gimmick. The wings flip forward, and the top part of the wings flip out. You do have that detail, but it happens very fast. And also, if you do fold the wings up, they do sit in grooves, so you want to kind of make sure they're kind of loose. So let's wind it up again, just like so. And by the way, yeah, this is why the legs have no articulation. You have a good, solid base here to hold on to get the gimmick to work. And I am very grateful for that. Now, to go into more of the articulation, unlike the other warrior figures that I've seen and experienced myself thus far, Starscream's head can not only rotate, but there is a little bit of waggle to it. Very slight. I'm not even sure if you're noticing it here on the camera. But it is a very nice head sculpt, by the way. I really do enjoy it. That's a bit more than we've gotten from previous Starscream figures. I'm sorry, previous Cyberverse warrior figures thus far. Also, I don't think this is a direct upsize of the Authentics 4-inch Starscream, as that one borrowed more from the previously released Legends Target Master and Combiner Wars Leader Class figure. So we'll pause right now, and we'll get into the transformation. Okay, transformation, I'm not going to lie, is fairly easy, but I kind of enjoy it, and I kind of like the end result. First, what you want to do is come behind and disengage the landing gear from that tab, bring the nose cone up, so it's sitting about 90 degrees from the back. Next, what you want to do is bring the legs together and then rotate the hips around so that they're facing backwards. You can do that. You can actually do that before you peg the legs together. It's up to you. Next, what you want to do is detach the hips from the torso and fold Starscream forward. There are little tabs here on the inside of the leg. They're going to peg into slots right above the torso there. And just got to line it up, and they do fit quite snugly, quite securely. I am quite happy about that. Next, what you want to do is detach the backpack with the nose cone section from the back of the figure. Straighten out the nose cone. It will friction into place right there, and then bring this down. And to secure that into place, there are tabs on the inside of the forearm that will peg, slot, however you have it, into the side there, holding the jet together. And here you have Starscream in its vehicle mode. You can adjust the landing gear as you see fit. I like to keep it out like that. Yeah, I do have boosters in the rear. It's not the most aerodynamic of jets, and yes, when you turn it upside down, depending on how hard you are, the wings will flop. As you can see, they're holding quite well because I have them friction down. But I do have to say, I am quite happy with the end result. It's not the best Starscream jet, but I'll be honest with you, I think this is better than the Power of the Prime Voyager. A lot easier to transform to, and less fiddly and aggravating. So yeah, very swooshable, very flyable. We'll pause, and I'll give you my final thoughts. As I've said at the end or during the course of every Cyberverse review I've done thus far, many adult collectors have already made their judgment on this line and are going to either pass it up or maybe only get 1 or 2 figures. And that's a shame, because I think there's a very unique look to these figures that are kind of cool, and as I've said time and again, a nice marriage of the G1, the classic G1 aesthetic, with the more modern animated designs. Starscream is a fun figure. Now, am I a big fan of his spinning blade gimmick, wing blade gimmick? Not really, but that's not because it doesn't work for me or I'm not a fan of it. It's because I would have done it differently. I would have preferred like a push button or something like we got on that old deluxe G cab over engine style Optimus Prime from the Classics line, or even the spinning dial like we got on that Tornado Cyclone figure from the old Masters of the Universe line 30 years ago. But the wind-up gimmick works just as well. I got this figure off of eBay from Canada. And one thing I do want to mention with the packaging I've discovered thus far, the Warrior class figures aren't coming twist-tied or, with tied down in the plastic tray. It's a friction bubble where you can pop them out. Thus far, I haven't had any problems, but I do recommend care when removing the figures from packaging, that you don't pop a joint or stress a limb as you take them out. Just press on the side to help lift the joint out. Other than that, this is your old pal Chuck. Thanks for watching. For Starscream, we will see you next time.